Autoline Live from the LA Auto Show is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, BorgWarner, feel good about driving, Bridgestone, your journey, our passion, and by PwC, prepare for the road ahead. Sign up for PwC's AutoFacts Analyst Notes to get the latest automotive analysis, trends, and industry insight.
Welcome to Autoline Live at the 2012 Los Angeles Auto Show. We've got all kinds of interviews and cars to show you. Chevrolet, Toyota, Volkswagen, Fiat. We've also got Jaguar, because kicking the show off with me live right now is Adrian Hallmark, the global brand director for Jaguar. Great having you here on the show live with us, Adrian.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Big show for you guys here in Los Angeles with the new F-Type.
It is.
Now, you introduced it at Paris, but you're having almost as big of a blowout at this show. Why so much of an emphasis on the new F-Type at the LA show?
It's a good question. The first thing I would say is, if you remember, we showed a concept car called CX-16 a couple of years ago. Exactly the same occurred. We showed it in Paris and then showed it here, and it was like we'd never shown it anywhere before. So I think LA, first of all, is the biggest luxury car market as a city, and the state, if you take as a region, in the world. So
bigger than China too?
Well, not the whole country, but if you take any region or any city,
very interesting.
It's massive. So for us to be successful here is very important, and Jaguar has a great heritage in this part of the world, so why not bring it here?
And so tell us about the F-Car, not necessarily from the mechanical bits, because I think our audience knows a lot about that already, but why a halo sports car for Jaguar? Why not go for something higher volume, say, from a sales standpoint?
Well, we're doing that as well. So we can walk and chew gum sometimes, which is not a bad thing to do. I think the first thing I would say, quite philosophically, that Jaguar without a sports car is not Jaguar as a company. That's the segment that we actually helped to create, and it's the segment that helped to create Jaguar. So after 51 years of not having a pure sports car in the range, it's a relief and a great honour to be the team that can deliver this to the market. So that's part of the reason. And in terms of other cars and volume cars, of course, with the all-wheel drive in the new sedans, with the 4-cylinder petrol with 30 miles per gallon, the 6-cylinder petrol that we're also launching now, and this, we're appealing both on the economical side, the luxury side, and on the pure performance. And then to cap it all, the XFRS, which is the same power as the XKRS, 550 horsepower, top speed 186, 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, so you can have it all.
So tell us, what's the advantage of having a halo car like this? I mean, do people literally come into the showrooms to look at it and say, I really can't deal with a two-seater, and then turn around and get an XJ or something like that?
I think it's indirect, because there are a lot of people out there that buy sports cars. So first thing, we'll be able to talk to them. But there's another whole bunch of people that don't buy sports cars. But without this car in our brand, there's not many 8-year-olds will put pictures of an XJ limousine on their wall. That's unfortunately a fact of life. But there's plenty of 8-year-olds that will put, or their screensaver, sorry. I should be more digital.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's many more that would do that with this car. So what it does is gets into people's mindsets at a very early age, and not just 8, but 18, 28 and 38-year-olds, which currently is not the core target group for Jaguar. But as we look to the future and want to expand into lower price segments, then clearly we need younger buyers. So this car works as a car, but it also works as a way of bringing new people, younger people, to think about Jaguar and be positive. And it gets us ready for those other launches.
How interesting that this car may be serving the needs of the company 20 years hence.
Absolutely, like the E-Type does today.
What's next for Jaguar then? What else can you tell us?
Nothing. Oh, sorry, I can't tell you anything, but there's lots coming.
It's the old, if I told you I'd have to kill you routine.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't want to do that.
No, don't.
But, no, I think with the XF and XJ four-wheel drive this year, the new powertrains. In Europe we have the Sport Brake, the wagon version of the XF, which is amazing. And with this to launch in the next 12 months, we're going to be more than busy.
In fact, we got a question from a viewer already on this. Sean Sweeney from the Bronx in New York says, no, I got the wrong list right there. No, it is Sean Sweeney. What can you tell us about the F-Type Coupe?
We've not confirmed a coupe version. All I would say, we started with the Cabriolet because we're launching in spring, so why not? The market is 50-50 volume, so there's no economic difference. But the cabriolet is much more challenging to engineer. So if we get this right and the body's nice and stiff, then whenever we want to do anything else with the body, it's ready to go. So I can't give you a date, I can't say we're doing it.
But in your heart of hearts, you'd love to have one?
It'd be foolish not to, but watch this space.
Okay, Ryan Kosbiel from Seoul, Korea, South Korea says, what about the diesel version? Would you be importing that?
Of the F-Type?
Yeah.
No, we have no plan for a diesel version.
Okay.
I'd never say never, but it's a pure sports car and diesel is not the priority. Other models, definitely we're thinking about that.
Okay, well, the XF in the US, a diesel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, very interesting.
Not straight away, but when the EU6 and North American diesel standard
almost converge.
Absolutely.
And that's about 2 years away.
Correct.
And so one last question too. Compressor Man from Santa Rosa, California wants to know, what's your fastest selling vehicle that you've got in your lineup right now?
The highest volume is an XF, and it's a 2.2 diesel that does 52 miles per gallon, and it's available only in Europe.
Oh, too bad. And what kind of price range is that? Do you know offhand?
In UK pounds, it's $30,000. Sorry, dollars.
£30,000.
£30,000.
So that's what, about 50,000 in the US, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Terrific. And and what about an estate in the U.S. market, a station wagon?
I think as a volume car, it wouldn't work. I only say this because we've studied the market very closely. I've lived and worked in the States, and I've tried to sell estate cars. They're very, very niche in the U.S. But if we could do a really high power version and make it more like a sports car estate for a bit of fun, I think from an image point of view, it might work. Wouldn't be big volumes, but again, I'd never say never, but it's not a priority.
Adrian, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And it's a beautiful car that you've got there.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Come on, folks. We're going to be going on to our next interview right now. And, oh, yeah, even though we didn't get into the new Range Rover, which has actually made its official debut before, they're making a big splash at the LA show with it as well. And we're going to go over to Volkswagen right now because this is where they're having the North American debut of the Volkswagen Cabrio, or the Beetle Cabrio. And there's a good buzz at the show. You know, a couple of years ago it was sort of down as the whole industry was down. Right now, though, there's a good turnout at this LA Auto Show. All kinds of people, lots of press conferences, of course, and jam-packed ones. But I gotta say, overall, the buzz at the show is pretty good. And here's my next interview. It's Tim Mahoney from Volkswagen of America.
Hey, how you doing?
Tim.
Nice to see you. How you been?
Yeah, great seeing you.
Good to see you also.
So this is a big debut that you've got going on here, Tim.
Oh, absolutely. We got a whole array of Beetle Cabrios from like 3 different generations, which is really great.
Oh my gosh.
50s, 60s, and 70s. So we were trying to decide where to stand, but we kind of landed in the middle.
Well, let's get up. Tell me a little bit about this car.
Sure.
Let's get up a little closer to it.
These are sort of limited run, sort of special editions, if you will, that kind of harken to the heritage of the Beetle Cabrio. And we've just finished an event out, or we're in the midst of an event out here in Malibu, which is just really a perfect place to kind of get the car and the whole environment together. There's also an R-Line, which is more performance-oriented one, and then the Fender one down there. We have this relationship with Fender Audio that's been really successful to the brand.
You guys have been doing that for a number of years now.
A little over, yeah. I mean, it came with the launch last year was the first one, but it's a really great partnership, and now it's kind of found its way into an actual special edition model.
The new Beetle's been out for a while. Now you're doing the Cabrio. What do you expect it to do for the line?
Well, I think it rounds it out a little bit. The launch of this generation has been quite successful in terms of bringing a more balanced audience to the brand. The last one was predominantly female. Now it's about 40% male. So it's we have something for everyone. And the interesting thing I think is when you think about this vehicle. it's been on the market for so long. It has such an iconic shape, and so the way to keep it fresh and keep people interested in the vehicle is to do these sort of special models, these special derivatives, and that's what you're starting to see here now.
And talk a little bit about the top on this one too. I love this sort of brown. The top looks terrific on this thing.
I think it does too. I mean, I think that's a really nice combination, a really rich, really warm vehicle. I like the kind of chrome style mirrors that kind of harken back to the original. I think that one of the coolest things about this generation of Beetle is we've gone back to that old Käferfach, that old kind of glove box that I remember from when I was very young. I won't even say how, but in the 60s, driving around with my aunt, with my 4 cousins in a Beetle. So.
Because oftentimes convertibles really only look good with the top down. Right. This one looks terrific with the top up.
I think it looks really, really nice with the top up. I have to agree. And I think the fender one down there in that kind of gray, it has the cues of the fender with the starburst kind of wood pattern in it, and of course, obviously Fender audio. So I'm actually driving a Beetle now. I got it the week before Thanksgiving, so I have a black turbo, and my kids are all over it.
So tell us about the pricing of this car.
You know, I'll let the other guys handle the pricing piece of it. I don't have that right on the tip of my tongue. But
okay. And when's it going to be available?
It's in market very soon now. The vehicles are kind of starting to show up. They're coming off the line, and so I would say within the next couple of weeks, you'll start to be able to buy the vehicles.
What's the reaction been here at the show?
Incredibly positive. You know, we've had the journalists out on the drive, and the best reaction is when people get out of the car, they just smile. You know, and I think that kind of says it all. It puts a smile on your face. It's a vehicle that really evokes a lot of happiness and fun.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we've got a question here from one of our viewers. Okay. Sean Sweeney from the Bronx says, "What about a Beetle R debut?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the debut of the Beetle R?"
I can't really comment on where we go in the future. What I can say is that we will continue to roll out derivatives and special models, and that's certainly a possibility. You see the R line here, which is not the full R, but it's something that we're interested in. We've shown it as a concept, and we'll just have to stay tuned.
What's the Beetle doing overall? I mean, a decade ago, the new Beetle came out of the blocks with a blast.
Sure.
And then over time, Volkswagen didn't do a whole lot with it, and things started to fall off. What's the status of it now?
I mean, we're about a year into it. We're pleased with the results. The interesting thing about Beetle is when we push, let's say, the Beetle accelerator on the brand, it lifts the whole brand up right away. And so, you know, the brand is doing well this year. We're up over 35% year to date, and that's on top of last year where it was 25, and on top of the year before, which was 20. So the brand has more than doubled its sales in just a matter of 2 years. Beetle has been a part of that. We did a really interesting promotion in the summer months. I don't know if you're familiar with Shark Week, which is the and we built a Beetle shark cage, and it actually drove on the base of the ocean floor off the Bahamas, and so we're now going to donate that for a nonprofit. But it was a really fun promotion. But Beetle overall creates the excitement for the brand, and that's what we're trying to do.
The last generation too did well in the U.S. market, but not around the world. How's the new one doing around the world?
It's doing well. I mean, it's interesting. Beetle, in its more recent form, if you will, is still predominantly an American phenomenon. I mean, people have that love affair. No matter who you talk to, everyone has a VW story, and quite often that story involves either a Beetle or a microbus, or you know, no matter who you talk to, they're going to tell you a little bit about the vehicle.
The last one too, as you indicated earlier, was predominantly bought by women. Now you're saying you got more men buying this one. What's it about the styling, or is it the marketing that's bringing more men back?
You know, it's interesting. Early on, when you looked at the last generation, so the one we were just talking about, it was a little bit more balanced. And as the vehicle aged, it became more female in terms of the ratio between male-female. One of the strategies, obviously, is to introduce models. TDI will definitely make it a bit more male in terms of demographic. Turbo for sure, Fender, R-Line, and who knows, maybe other models. And so it's sort of the life cycle management, I think, that's going to keep it fresh and relevant for everyone.
That's great. Tim, thanks so much for your time.
Nice to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks. Okay, folks, right now we're going to be taking a quick break, but don't forget, we'd love to get any more of your questions. Send them to viewer mail at autolinedetroit.tv. We're going to take a quick break right now because we got to haul the gear over to the other side of the hall. So take a look at this pre-taped interview from one of our sponsors involving Michael Martini from Bridgestone.
PwC, driving value. Check out PwC's latest thought leadership to gain insight about the latest M&A activity, supplier trends, tax updates, and much more at www.pwc.com/auto.
I'm talking right now with Michael Martini, the president of the OE division of Bridgestone Americas, and great to have you here, Michael.
It's always great to be with you, John.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the supplier end of the industry, because what I'm hearing right now is it's a big struggle. 5-6 years ago, everybody had way too much manufacturing capacity. Today, it seems there's not enough. Is that true of Bridgestone as well?
You know, it's not so much a manufacturing capacity, although that's certainly a big issue. But right now, before we get to the manufacturing piece, we need to get through the development piece. You know, when everybody went down, you know, the OEM said, we're going to back off a little bit here with all our new launches, et cetera, because obviously everybody was trying to, you know, save some bucks, and they did that. But now we're on the other side of the equation, and now everybody's catching up. So you got launch after launch after launch.
So is this part of the engineering shortage that I keep hearing about?
That's really it. You know, everybody's trying to catch up with all these launches, and the supply community, you know, great group and everything, but they went down too, so we're all kind of catching up together.
How are you trying to backfill that gap, or can you?
You know, I think right now it's just a matter of, you know, being efficient, make sure your processes from a development perspective are as efficient as you can make them. And, you know, negotiating with the OEMs, you know, saying, you know, maybe we needed 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 rounds to get this particular tire developed for every single vehicle that we're on, that maybe, you know, we can back that off and, you know, really give them what they need maybe a little faster. And one of the ways we can do that is through the modeling activity. And we're doing a lot in that regard. You know, you got to... Computer
simulation, you're saying.
Exactly. You know, you've got to... You know, the OEMs are great at that. You know, the tire industry is pretty darn good at that as well. So we're finally marrying the two, that we can do some more stuff instead of, you know, always being out on the track.
I keep hearing from suppliers, too, that they're glad that the U.S. car market is growing, but growing kind of slowly. They tell me that if all of a sudden sales exploded, they would not be able to keep up with demand.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The supply community, you know, is certainly in that situation, and Bridgestone finds it the same way. You know, there was a time we were really careful not to, you know, overcommit and undersupply. You never want to do that as a supplier. And from our perspective, I think we did a great job in that, and we've been able to keep pace. But this nice steady growth, you know, since 2009 to where we are now is been really a godsend, because if we would have popped back up to 16 million, I don't think anybody would have kept up.
But are you adding capacity?
Yeah, we are. We're really excited about that right now. And, you know, one thing that I'm really excited about Bridgestone is we've got this philosophy of make it where we sell it, which is, you know, for me personally, a value system that I really embrace. So for me, I love to see it. And, you know, we've got a $1.2 billion expansion going on down in South Carolina.
Is that 1.2 billion tires or $1.2 billion?
It's dollars. It would be nice, 1.2 billion, but maybe we'd have some overcapacity then. So, you know, $1.2 billion expansion, and it's kind of interesting. About 800 million of that is for, you know, these huge off-the-road tires with 63-inch rim diameters, you know. And,
real big tires.
Real big tires. But we got a $400 million expansion on the passenger and light truck side, too. So, and we really need that because the market is growing. And luckily our customers and the end user, you and me, are buying our product, and we're pretty proud of that.
But very interesting what you're saying. I didn't realize the demand for the off-the-road vehicle market is that big, eh?
It's huge. In fact, at one time, you know, a year or so ago, really coming out of this, when China was really in their super growth, I think our OTR guys had told me that, you know, they had every tire sold out for 18 to 24 months. So people were waiting that long to have these tires show up. Because you remember, you know, we're mining everywhere in the world, you know, right now we're going to be right around 80 million vehicles, but you know, it wasn't too long ago we were only producing 50 million vehicles a year globally. And now we're going to 100 million by 2020 or so. So, you know, there's a lot more resources needed. Well, they need to get a lot of stuff out of the ground, and right now they still use tires to do that.
See, that's why I love talking with you, Michael, because these are aspects of the business that most people following the car industry are not aware of, just how important. And look, you can't build cars if you don't have the tires.
Yeah, and I go to every designer and make sure they're not trying to go from 4 to 3 or anything, you know?
Real good. Well, Michael Martini, thanks for sharing all that with us.
Thank you, John.
Proven on the track and on roads around the world, BorgWarner turbochargers improve fuel economy and reduce emissions without sacrificing performance. BorgWarner, official turbocharger supplier to the Eyes on Indy Car Series.
3 seconds.
Hey everybody, I've got Anthony Folk right now. He's the product manager
for the US.
For the Audi A6, A7, and A8.
Right.
And you've got an array of all white ones here. So tell us about what your real thrust at the LA show is.
Right, so this year in LA we're introducing 4 new diesel models to the US. So we've got a 3-liter V6 diesel. It's all new generation for us, and it's all new in the A6, the A7, and the A8. So it's very exciting to bring one more model onto our lineup, and you get great performance and great efficiency in a car that has quite a lot of torque, so it's a lot of fun to drive also.
Audi's one of the German brands that's really pushing diesels,
Yep.
and it seems to be really working for you guys.
Yeah, well, we brought out the A3 and the Q7 about 3 years ago in diesel, really to bring the highest in efficiency with the A3, and then show our largest vehicle, the Q7, how it can be diesel can be a solution for efficiency on both ends of the spectrum. And now we have a new generation of V6 TDI, and we're bringing that to many more cars, and that's what we're bringing out today. So, for instance, in the A8, it's coming out in the spring to go on sale, and we've gotten estimates for the fuel economy that we're going to have 24 in the city, 36 miles per gallon on the highway, and 28
in
combined.
A car this big.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's almost 30% increase over the 3.0T, the gas version of the car, and you get great fuel mileage, but you also have a lot of fun to drive in them.
How are sales of the diesels? I mean, I've got to believe they're going well, that you're putting it in more models.
So far, for the A3 and the Q7, the A3, about half of A3s sold are diesel.
A 50% take rate?
Yeah. It's a little over 40 this year because that car is actually phasing out for the next generation. And then the Q7 has been about 40% over the past couple of years, and then this year it's running just under 40%. So it's quite a share. As far as these cars are concerned, we expect to have somewhere between 15 and 20% of A6, A7, A8 as diesel. It's not it's not as well known, so we're trying to get the word out about how great diesel engines can be. There are a lot of preconceptions of what they should be about a truck and everything, but once you drive them, you don't even know that you're in a diesel. You just know that you get the great efficiency and torque.
Well, you anticipated my question, because it was going to be, how do you make U.S. consumers more aware of diesels and their benefits?
Well, one of the things we've done, as you know, we did a lot with A3 and Q7. Now we're trying to get the word out about all of the new cars. Of course, doing a special color, a lot of presence at an auto show helps you quite a bit. But we're also, of course, going to be doing advertising based on. We did our first generation of advertising, I guess you could think of it, about 2 years ago, talking about how many barrels you could send back of oil to countries that we import from. And, for instance, we've calculated we have about 22,000 cars on Audi diesels on the road right now, and we've calculated that we have the consumers driving those cars have saved about 4.5 million gallons of fuel by driving a diesel instead of a gas. And that's an amazing number. And, the people who have these cars, these diesels, love them. We talk to our consumers all the time, and really it's kind of a bit of a secret that people have them. But once you get in and drive them, it really feels more like the smarter, clever choice in an engine, actually.
How high is up? How big do you think the diesel thing could become in the U.S.?
Well, it is definitely one of the choice drivetrains for all the CO2 targets that are coming in the future that the manufacturers have to reach. These diesels are just as clean as a gas car. With the low sulfur fuel that's out now, and AdBlue and particulate filters, they're very clean cars, and they get 20 to 30% better fuel economy depending on the model. So I think once consumers become more aware of them, I think you'll have a pretty good acceptance of them. We've had great success with them so far.
Okay, hybrid versus diesel, which way do you think it's going to go?
Oh, I think the best really option is to give consumers a choice. They each have their strengths.
Oh, no, and that's what I'm asking. What do you think consumers will choose once given the choice?
Oh, I think it depends on what you're kind of looking for. Hybrids definitely, especially when it comes to regulations, have different types of benefits because the government's trying to push them more. But diesels, it's a little bit like the gas engines. They've been improved enough over the years that there are very few downsides to them, and they're very, very efficient. So in some, depending on the model, there isn't necessarily an argument to have a hybrid. So it really depends on what people are looking for, because in everyday driving, the diesels do really, really well. Like I said, the A8 24 in the city is very, very good.
That's impressive.
So even city mileage is very good.
When do they go on sale?
The A8 goes on sale in the first quarter next year. The A6, A7, and Q5 go on sale next summer. And the Q7 is on sale now with the new generation.
That's great. Anthony Folks, thanks so much for your time. Very interesting, pushing diesels that much at the LA show.
Yep.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, come on, folks. We're off to the next one. We're going to be talking with Tom Dahl over at Subaru, but let me get to some of the questions that have been asked here. Sean Sweeney, again. Boy, Sean, you got a lot of questions here. This is great. We love hearing from people in the Bronx. He asks, any hints at all about the 2015 Mustang? Yeah, in fact, we talked about this on Autoline After Hours a week ago with Peter DeLorenzo. Go look at that Ford Evos concept car that they showed, I think it was 2 years ago at the, which auto show was it that I'm thinking of right now? Oh yeah, Frankfurt. That's where they showed it. And I'm told if you sort of chop a foot or two out of the middle of that car and shorten it up, that's awfully close to the 2015 Mustang. Let's see, J.D. Clough from Ontario, Canada says, has anyone considered at Ford doing a Fusion SHO? You know, JD, I don't think that's going to happen, only in the sense that it won't be called an SHO. It'll probably be called an ST. That seems to be the name that Ford's really starting to build up right now, and I'll bet if anything that they would call it an ST. D500 from Franklin, Tennessee says, when will the 8-speed automatic be available in the Chrysler 300 with the 5.7 V8 with all-wheel drive? Boy, that I don't know, but I hope they get that in that car quickly. As you know, it's right now only in the V6 version. Maybe it's only an availability issue. I can't believe it's a torque issue, but boy, does that car drive nicely with that 8-speed in it. He also says, love your great program, and I let my friends that work at Bridgestone Marketing and Engineering know that I appreciate their supporting your program. That's cool. Yeah, no, we love our friends at Bridgestone. They've been terrific with us. Okay. Okay.
Go down to Scion and Minneapolis.
Okay. Let's see. We got another question. Oh, this is very interesting because it's from Carl W. in Tallinn, Estonia. How cool is that? From the Baltic. He says, can you comment on the Fiesta 1-liter EcoBoost versus the Fiesta 1.6-liter turbo with variable cam timing? Well, all I can tell you is the 1.6 obviously puts out more power. The 1-liter EcoBoost is around 123 horsepower. The 1.6-liter is about 178 horsepower. And okay, we're We're at Subaru right now, and we'll get to the rest of Carl's questions because I can see the next guy I'm going to interview. And let's get to that right now. Tom Dahl. I'm doing terrific.
Good to see you again. How you been?
I'm doing terrific. How about yourself?
Same here.
So tell us about what you got here.
Everything's good. This is the new 2014 Subaru Forester.
Okay.
We're going to be debuting it at 3:40 this afternoon.
Oh, so everybody's getting it before you officially debut
You're
it.
seeing it before, yeah.
Okay.
That's why we just had it covered. We just unveiled it for you, John, my good buddy.
That's great.
Yeah.
So tell us about this.
Well,
what's different from the old one?
Well, it's completely redesigned. It's 1.7 inches longer. It's about 6/10 of an inch wider. Sure. So what happens is when you take a look at the vehicle, the front is more raked. And you can see more of the wheel flare fenders. This just happens to be the turbo model. So you'll see the air intakes that are over here, and it's integrated into this cool front mesh grille. And so you no longer have the hood scoop on here. The air comes in through these side intake manifolds and brings it up and cools the turbo. So it's pretty cool. And then when you get to the front of the car, John, and you look into the cabin here, the cabin's been completely redesigned. It's going to have obviously Bluetooth connections, AHA radio comes standard, navigation system, you name it, it's got it. But here's what the real cool part is. Look how wide these doors open up.
Oh, yeah.
So for a family, and look at the additional seating capacity. As I said earlier, you know, the car's 1.7 inches longer and 6/10 of an inch wider. But what that allows you to do, as you know, with the interiors of the cars, to do so much more with it.
Well,
so
and we should point it out to people that because you think, oh, they boosted it up a little over an inch. That makes a big difference inside a car.
Hey, John, look at this. Here's another nice feature. This has the automatic release that goes up automatically. So in other words, it has the power lift gate.
Yeah.
So for a customer doesn't, if they got packages or whatever, you press the button on your key fob, it opens automatically. With those rear seats folded down, 75 cubic feet of storage capacity.
That's pretty good.
Best in class. That's how good it is.
Yeah.
So everything's good. You know, we're looking at hopefully this car will obviously do what the current Forester did for us, which the current model was actually the start of the current run that we're on. We're currently enjoying. You know, 5 years ago, we bring the Forester out in 2008 as a 2009 model year. Of course, the next year, you know, the financial crisis hits, but we, thanks to the Forester, the current generation Forester, continued to do very well, and it's been that way ever since. So every product's been a home run.
That's what I said 3-4 years ago, is somebody forgot to tell Subaru that there's a global financial crisis going on.
Yeah, well, we don't let that bother us. We're so small that shouldn't really bother us.
That's right. Small but growing.
Well,
still growing.
Still growing. This year our sales are going to be up about 25%. We look to close the year out somewhere about 330,000 cars, up from about 266,000 last year. So about a 25% increase.
Where do you get the capacity? That's a big growth.
Well, fortunately, our parent company, Fuji Heavy Industries, has done a great job of being able to shift production among different markets of the world. So consequently, we've been able to take additional production with the problems we've been having in Europe, some of the problems we've been having in China.
You can take advantage of that.
We're taking advantage of that now. And what's cool about it, though, is we're getting our dealers to believe that they can sell these higher levels of volumes. Because every time we get these cars out to them, John, here's the real neat part. They sell the cars. You know, so we don't know really what the top is. Honestly, we don't know, but it's exciting.
So when does this one go on sale?
This will go on sale probably, you know, late March, mid to late March, early April. We haven't announced pricing on it yet, but you know.
That was going to be my next question.
Well, I figured that's why I thought I'd just tell you.
Throw that in right.
But
sort of around. Where's the current one? Where's the current one, more or less? 22,000. So in the ballpark is where the new one will be.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we know the price points that we have to hit in order to remain competitive.
This is so cool, Tom, and I'm so impressed by the Subaru, the little company that can.
Well, remember, you and I used to go on these long lead press events, and we would talk about all this stuff.
Right, and now it's happening.
Now it's happening.
All the stuff we talked about.
Now it's happening. Yeah, it's all good. It's a lot of fun, and I'm just having the time of my life.
That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did we get any questions for you yet? Because we. Yeah.
Oh, you got a poll?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
What about the I should say, Sean Sweeney, boy, he's been sending in a lot of questions. What can you tell us about the BRZ STI?
Well, that's still under wraps. You know, I really can't discuss future product. But, I mean, obviously, tuners, if we don't do an STI version, somehow or other tuners are going to find out how to do one, and they're going to do it for us.
Yeah.
So we ought to come out with the real deal.
Okay, Ryan Cosbial from Seoul, South Korea. No, that was a different one. I had already asked that one. You don't have any hybrids. Michael Coates from Silicon Valley wants to know, what about a hybrid Subaru?
Yeah, there will be a hybrid coming from Subaru. If you stay around for our press conference, we're going to announce the timing of when the hybrid's going to be coming in. I can't disclose that just yet.
Okay, that's okay. I'll be back for the press conference.
But if you're here for the press conference, you'll find out. But yeah, a Subaru hybrid is coming.
Tom, thanks so much for taking us around and for showing it before you showed anybody else.
Hey, John, always good to be with you. You always have a soft spot with me.
Cool,
so
man.
Anytime.
Great to see you again.
Always good to see you.
Thanks, John. Good luck with the rest of the show.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, and now we're going to haul the gear over to another part of the hall. So we're going to take a quick break right now, going to another pre-taped interview, one of our sponsored ones, with James Verrier from BorgWarner.
So this performance football is another way Bridgestone is bringing its tire technologies to the world of sports.
That's right. The same polymer technologies that allow you to take sharp turns with maximum precision on our Potenza tires is being put to use here. Troy Aikman and Deion Sanders are helping us test it out. Troy seems to like the control.
That ain't right, man.
Deion,
that ain't right.
Not so much.
Giddy up now, Deion. At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
I'm talking right now with James Verrier, the President and Chief Operating Officer of BorgWarner, though I should say it was just announced that he's going to be the Chief Executive Officer starting January 1st, so congratulations on that, James.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. Great to be with you.
Well, so much to talk about, but let's start with turbochargers. I'm so impressed that BMW now has what they call a 3-stage turbocharged engine. 3 turbos on one engine. You've got to love applications like that.
Absolutely love it. 3 turbos, 2 turbos, we love it, really. But it's cool. Turbos have been a great part of our success over the recent years, and the technology just continues to evolve. And the 3-stage is the latest of our technology, and we continue to work on others as well. It's just a great story.
I understand Borg can bring a number of pieces of the technology puzzle to the market when it comes to turbochargers.
Yeah, we have. It's interesting. We have a full array of turbocharger products, and I tell folks that we go everything from a very, very small displacement light vehicle in Japan to huge trucks in North America. We're on highway equipment, all sorts of stuff for turbo. But the other cool thing that we're doing is putting our turbocharger technology with other parts of our company for next generation advanced technology. So,
give us an example of what you're talking about.
Yeah, sure. We're looking at finding ways to take our variable cam timing technology in conjunction with our turbocharger technology and getting the two to work together to provide some pretty impressive fuel economy gains.
Electronically talking to one another, or what are you doing there?
Yeah, we're looking to get the two to interact between each other electronically, and we can't say too much because it's a little premature, but it's just an example. Another example is putting our EGR valve technology, combining that with our turbocharger technology. So the message really is, we can bring some system plays to the automakers that really nobody else can, because we've got that array of products, and we're finding more and more interest in that area.
You mentioned the commercial end of the market. What's Borg doing in that, besides the turbos that you mentioned?
Yeah, the commercial vehicle piece it's a big part of our business in terms of importance to us. It represents about 15% of our revenue, and we provide turbo technology, we provide EGR cooler technology, we provide thermal product technology all around the world, on highway, off highway, and it's a big part of our growth story. Everybody gets that fuel economy, emissions, performance is critical for the light vehicle segment. It's just the same on that heavy duty and light and commercial segment.
And at least in North America, the commercial end, the heavy truck end, has been just screaming ahead. I've never seen such sales increases.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good year in North America, and let's hope it stays there, because as I said, it's an important part of our business and one we enjoy being in.
Mm-hmm. BorgWarner also is very famous for its dual clutch technology, which seems to be taking Europe by storm right now. How far might that go? Because Europe was always a market that was about 90% or so manual transmissions, 10% automatic. Do you think you can flip that with dual clutch?
Well, what we see is, first of all, great success thus far. The adoption rates have been very, very positive. We've been in production for a number of years now with the Volkswagen Group. tremendous acceptance from the customers. You know, we see the growth rate of that particular technology, probably a double-digit compound annual growth rate as we look out. So we're very hot. But the other thing is, it's not just Europe. We're seeing a lot of interest and a lot of adoption of the technology in China, and you can imagine that's obviously a huge opportunity for us. So it's a great product for us.
There's been a little bit of controversy over dry clutch, dual clutch transmissions. Are you making progress in making those more seamless?
Yeah, you know, we've our product launched with the wet technology, which has been a great success. There's been a little bit of some issues out in the field on the dry clutch technology, not with BorgWarner product, I would say that. And we're seeing more interest, frankly, from a wet clutch technology point of view. We do offer product for the dry clutch solution as well. So we view ourselves, we're a dry clutch and we're a wet clutch outfit. So if there's DCT, we're there. But yeah, there's been a few issues with some of the other guys on the dry clutch, which has created a little more discussion for wet technology.
Well, as long as I'm interviewing you, I'm glad to hear it's not your problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, James Verrier, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me a little bit about what BorgWarner's doing these days.
Thank you, John. Terrific.
And right now I've got Mark Royce, the head of all North American operations for General Motors, and the new Spark EV behind us.
Yep, Sparky.
The Sparky. Oh, you should have called it that.
I know. I'm not a Mark. I know.
So tell me about this car, because
this is a great little car, John. It's got a couple of things that are really enablers to break through some of the traditional EV barriers, like
like what?
Well, range anxiety or whatever the quotes are around that. But we can charge the car 80% of the battery in about 20 minutes, which is a big new technology for us.
That's a big jump. That's
a huge jump. It's you can go somewhere and then plug it in and come back out, and the car's ready. So that's good. It's my shopping or my coffee break, right?
There you go, right.
So anyway, that's good. And then 400 foot-pounds of torque.
Wait.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is a little subcompact car.
I know.
What do you mean 400 foot-pounds?
400 foot-pounds of torque.
It just twists the axles right off, right, when you stop it?
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. More than a Ferrari Italia 458. Okay? More than the Ferrari California. So, really exciting. Yeah.
So you guys wanted to make EVs be fun, not just frugal.
Absolutely fun. 0 to 60 under 8 seconds. This will have approaching class-leading range here. And
can you tell us what the number is?
No, I can't, because we're not done with it yet.
Okay.
That's why.
Better than maybe anything else out there.
I think maybe better than anything else out there.
Hey, styling-wise, look at the grille. Reminds me a lot about the Volt. It looks like you're trying to create a
little bit
of
family resemblance. Yeah, there's arrow shutters that operate underneath it on the lower piece of it. So when it gets to speed, they close. A lot of really good aerodynamic things on it. There's diffusers on the side of it. The tire is a super tire on this that we started developing with the Volt. If you look at a spider chart on a tire, there's competing things. There's either traction, there's lateral grip or force, and then there's the fuel economy rolling resistance piece of this. We think we found something with some of our suppliers that is almost a magical fuel economy formula that does not degrade ride or handling or wet traction. So those are the kind of things you'll find in the car.
Price
under $25,000.
Now that's with the $7,500 tax write-off.
That's right. Yep, 7-inch screen, which is bring your own media. You can take your phone, plug it in, replicate most of what you have on it, or new content that's already in the car. And then we've got another 7-inch screen in front of the driver that has all the EV information that you'd want, range and all that stuff. So
when's it going to be on sale?
We're doing this very quickly here, so it's really debuting and will be on the road in the next few months.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So this isn't just sort of
this is it. This
toss
is the car.
It out there and a year later we get it.
No, and then we got the Cruise Diesel coming first quarter as well. So this is coming very shortly.
Yeah. In fact, I got a couple of quick questions here from some of our viewers, and that was one of the questions was about the Cruise Diesel. Yeah, thanks. Can you tell us any kind of sales expectations? And this is coming from Michael Coates in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, sales expectations both on this Spark and that diesel. These are so different from what General Motors has done for the last decades. So our last diesels, they were very different vehicles. So the diesels that we have now that are really global diesels and they're bringing in the United States are we've targeted cars like the Jetta in the United States, diesel version versions of that. For
They
riding.
got a pretty high take rate on that.
It's huge. It's a great car. It's a great car. So we targeted that with the Cruise, and this is in a class by itself. So we're going to start here in Los Angeles with it. So the sales figures we really don't know, because we don't know. We don't have any background or history in General Motors or Chevrolet around selling diesels. We don't have it.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So let's see. Another question we've got from Ryan in Overland Park, Kansas. Will the Corvette ever become a global brand separate from Chevrolet to really go after Ferrari and Porsche?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if you look at Chevrolet and what Chevrolet really is, okay, the second part of the question, yes, absolutely, as always, right? Those cars are in the crosshairs of Corvette, always. But Chevrolet and Corvette have been together forever, and they will continue to be. That part of the brand, I think, is so important. The enthusiast piece of it, that's why we race Chevrolets, you know, that is the core DNA of the brand. Corvette is always treated as a special car within that brand, always. And so is Camaro. Same type of approach, but very different cars. So that part of it, you know, don't look for any big changes there. We need to leverage Corvette to help Chevrolet globally much better.
Gotcha. Bob Auberton from Montreal, Quebec wants to know, what about bringing Opel into North America? Wouldn't that be a good replacement for Saab, he wants to know.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You got enough on your plate right now.
Yeah, we got enough on the plate. I'll tell you what, we're focused on bringing the great Opel brand back in Europe. And that's where it needs to be. That's where it means something. That's where it always should be.
Okay, Martin, the Chevy guy from Berg, Switzerland says,
excellent.
Well, what about a Cruise SS and Malibu SS?
Yeah, I think let's start with Cruise. Cruise, you know, we have not approached our small cars in Chevrolet with big bandwidths. Okay, that will cover really, really low price points and then go to a racing version of that car. We've instead targeted and positioned each one of those cars quite differently. So don't look for, you know, high output Cruises anytime. We've got an RS that's very popular that changes the appearance a little bit. If we're going to do something with SS and high performance and racing, it will be in Sonic. That's how we position the car.
Okay, real quick, Bob Carter from Indiana says, when's GM going to do a heavier truck like the old GM 4500 and 5500? He says, Ford and Ram are kicking your teeth in. Well, I said that, but he sort of says it that way.
Yeah, well, that's true. We went through bankruptcy, don't forget that. And so as we fill the portfolio with the money that we make and reinvest, that's certainly a priority for us in the long-range plan. But we have to fill it with the things that are most important for us to change the way people think about our brands and our stores and our dealerships. And so, you know, those priorities, they're coming.
Real good.
Okay.
Mark, you're a busy guy. We're going to let you go free.
Always,
thanks
John.
so much, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Have a great show.
Okay, come on with me, people. We're going to go over to Toyota and take a look at what they've just put out. They've got a new RAV4, but, oh, wait a minute. Hey, here's Todd Turner from Car Concepts, the president of Car Concepts. Todd, how you doing, man?
Good to see you. It's always good to see you.
Hey, look, I got to go to Toyota. Walk with me and tell me what you think. What do you think about GM, what's going on here? I just finished talking with Mark Roy. So what's your take on them these days?
Well, I mean, they continue to be concerned about the stigma of government ownership. And they'll talk about it, they'll issue press releases about how they would like the FTC to sell their shares, even at a loss. But I don't think that resonates well with the American consumer. I don't think that's the right message to be sending. If they're concerned about the stigma of government ownership, then they need to focus on their corporate value, increase their stock value, sell it to the government, and allow the government to sell it at a profit, and then everyone will be happy. But to continue to bring this up is they're trying to push through the wave rather than get up on top of it and ride it to their advantage.
Isn't it a chicken and an egg thing, though? I mean, nobody wants to buy GM stock because then they think the government's going to dump their shares, and the government doesn't dump its shares because nobody's buying the stock.
Well, it is a little bit, but everyone would sell and everyone would buy if it was worth anything.
Yeah.
So that's the first criteria.
Right. But, you know, Ford's down, too, and they're doing a pretty good job overall. At least in North America, they have some of the highest margins of anyone in the business. Their stock price isn't doing much either.
There's a lot pushing the entire industry down. I mean, Toyota's not doing all that well either. But, and that's probably going to continue for a while, just because the global markets are not very conducive to car sales right now. So, yeah, sure, GM's got some challenges. My point is that it would be better for them to just remain quiet on the subject until there's something they can do about it.
Not tell the government to sell at a loss.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
exactly. That just makes it worse.
Yeah. Boy, they're really dinged, still got the stigma of government motors, and they really shouldn't be saying anything much about it.
No, they really shouldn't be. And it appears, when they make these kinds of statements, it appears they're ungrateful.
Huh. Good point.
And I don't think that's what, I don't think that's the message they want to send. If it is, then it's going to be a very short-lived one.
Yeah. Hey, while we're walking by Mazda, they've got a display of their diesel engine here. What do you make of that?
I am so excited for diesels. I've been a fan for 20-something years of diesel technology in Europe. I've been a fan of diesel technology just about anywhere. Mazda's got their system out now. They're talking about bringing it into the Mazda 6 and the Mazda CX-5. I'd love to see it in both of those vehicles, but I'm skeptical. There have been so many announcements of diesels coming to this market. Honda's made them, GM's made them, Nissan's made them. We hear them over and over again. I'll believe it when I can walk into a Mazda dealership and there's a car there with a Monroney sticker on it that I can buy that is equipped with a diesel engine.
I'm still very bullish on diesels in the American market. The models that offer them right now have a very high take rate.
They do, and they always will. And not only do they have a high take rate, look at the residual values.
They sell well.
Oh my gosh!
The resale is good.
Exactly.
No
a
kidding.
Gen TDI retaining its value at 60-70%, 3-4 years down the road.
Whoa!
Yeah,
that's unheard of.
It's amazing.
How's that compare to hybrids? Say, same? Do they retain their value well?
Hybrids do retain their value well. However, I think in that case, more and more people are more willing to buy a new one because the used ones still do retain so much of their value that maybe that used one doesn't have as much mental value to consumers. Diesels, though, you buy a diesel with 60,000, 70,000 miles on it, people that know them and that are fans of them have no problem with that.
Very interesting. Todd, I got to go do another interview, man.
Good
Great
luck.
seeing you.
It's a great show. Take care.
And right now, Bill Fay, the general manager of the Toyota division, is joining us. Bill, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Tell us about this RAV4. This is a big intro for you guys at the LA show.
This is a great vehicle. We're really excited about it. We've got a lot of heritage with RAV4. This is our 4th generation RAV4 here in the U.S. Great package. The styling, the interior, the overall technology and safety and versatility that's built into this car, we're really excited about. So we think it's a great package, and we're really excited to get it to market.
Okay, everybody says they're really excited about their new car. What one thing just jumps out at you about this that you'd like to tell the audience?
I think the styling and the interior of this vehicle. Styling, much more dynamic, aerodynamic front. In the rear, we've taken the spare tire off the back. We've redesigned the whole rear. It's now got a great lift back that's easier for our customers to put things into the vehicle and take them out. And when you sit in the vehicle, you can see it totally changed. Soft touch, French stitching, a lot of cargo capacity, class leading. So it's really a great package for versatility and customer comfort.
See, I'm glad you said the styling, because to me that's what really stands out about this vehicle, and it seems to be something that Toyota's really taking seriously these days.
Well, our boss Akio Toyoda has really directed the team to come up with more dynamic styling and marketing communication to go with it. So the Avalon was the first vehicle. This is the second vehicle, and we've got some more coming next year. So we're really excited about the looks of this vehicle, the functionality, the improvement in MPG, 6-speed automatic transmission, which improves the drive, the interior, the safety that's in it. It's the only vehicle in the segment that's got a rear backup monitor in it. So it's a great package.
Toyota seems to be coming out with hybrids on every model. What can you tell us is in store for this one in the future?
Well, no hybrid now. Maybe somewhere down the road, but nothing right now. We're excited with the 4-cylinder engine that's in it, coupled with the new 6-cylinder automatic 6-speed automatic transmission. It drives great. And it's a nice package.
Fuel economy on this?
This 31 highway versus the current one, this 28. So you get a nice lift. There's a little bit of reduction in weight, and the 6-speed transmission really helps us get better fuel efficiency.
I got to believe it really smooths out the thing at highway speeds and the like too, letting the engine run slower.
A lot smoother. It's a much more refined drive, and it's a much more uncomfortable interior. So when you put them all together, the drive is significantly better than the current generation.
Pricing, you going to do anything different with this new one?
Pricing, we haven't totally finalized yet, so unfortunately we didn't have that today. We're going to really focus on our XLE grade, which is the middle grade. A lot of activity in the small sport utility segment in the 24, 25, 26,000 range, and I think we're going to have a really good package in there.
When's it go on sale?
It go on sale in January.
Oh, so right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
And like you said, there's a lot of competition in the segment right now. How are you going to try to make this one stand out, at least from a marketing standpoint?
Well, we're excited about that too, because the segment's really hot. There's a lot of value in the segment right now. The segment's up about 15% over last year, but RAV in a build-out year is up 35%. So we're really excited. We're going into this next generation with a lot of momentum, and I think a lot of positive things to bring to the table with this next generation RAV.
Okay, changing topics somewhat a bit here. We got a question from one of our viewers, Sean Sweeney from the Bronx in New York, says, well, any substance behind the rumors of a new Supra?
Not that we can talk about. You know, it's one of the things our dealers are always asking for, which is a dynamic sports car. You know, the Scion FRS has really satisfied some of those people, but it's something that, you know, maybe we'll have somewhere down the road.
Well, you've got a new flagship car in the new Avalon.
Yep.
Sure would be cool to have a flagship sports car.
Yes, it would. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to tell them today.
Anyway, Bill, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care. Thanks. And by the way, we're still taking questions, folks, so if you want to get yours in, do it now. Send an email to viewermail@AutolineDetroit.tv. Well, as you can probably tell, we're in the Fiat stand right now, and joining me is Tim Kuniskis, the head of Fiat North America. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us, Tim.
Thanks for being here.
So you got all kinds of 500s here, and Norm, maybe you can spin around. Let's start talking about the Abarth. You guys came out with that earlier this year, and it seems to be a big success for this lineup.
Today is a huge day for the Fiat brand. You know, we've been in the country for less than 2 years now, and our sales are really starting to take off. Our business is up 130% year over year, and we've been doing it with essentially one set of sheet metal. Now, we've had 9 different variations of that same set of sheet metal. One of them was the Abarth hatch, and it was a huge success, and it really changed the perception of the brand. Now we're backing that up today with an Abarth Cabrio, something that people have been asking for. We know this car is going to be an absolute home run, but we're launching 5 different cars today. That's just the first one. Coming right after that.
Well, wait, let's stick with this one just real quick. Pricing and availability.
So we haven't announced the pricing yet, but I think you'll have an idea of, where we are on the current Abarth, and then, an upcharge.
A premium on that,
a
right?
little premium for the Cabrio version.
And in the showroom when?
We'll have it in the showroom Q1 of next year. So in a couple of months, we'll have it in the showroom.
Okay, and then behind you is one of the other new ones you're talking about,
And then the other big news today, we're also unveiling the 5-door Fiat 500L. Big news for our dealers, and big way for us to expand the brand quickly overnight. Been in the market for less than 2 years, but we're now bringing our second car to market, which is a huge advantage for us because a lot of people have told us they love the Fiat brand, they love the 500, they love everything about it, but they just needed a little bit more room. So we took everything that the 500 was in the 500 brand, and we expanded it. 5 doors, 5 passengers, and luggage. Yet it's still a full Fiat. Great looking design, very functional, efficient interior, and fun to drive. We put the Abarth powertrain in this car, standard. 160 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque.
Same exhaust?
Not the same exhaust.
Okay, yeah.
But it runs 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds and has, although it's a B-size car, which by American standards is a smaller car, it has the interior volume of an E-segment car. You sit in the back seat of this, it's unbelievable the efficiency of the packaging.
And I think what we should point out too is this is not just a 4-door version of the 500. This is a different platform.
All new car, all new platform, but we retained all that same DNA of the 500. That's why we retained the name as well. And the things that we learned on the 500 we're also going to apply to this car. The success we had with the 500 was having multiple variations for different customers. Same thing with this car. So we're going to launch with the 500L that you see here. Then we're going to come out a month later with the 500L Trekkie.
Let's move down to that one, this yellow one here.
All of the same functionality.
What do you mean Trekkie? You're not talking about for Star Trek fans, obviously.
No, we just call it a Trekkie because it has a completely different look. All the same functionality, but a different front end, different rear end, and a completely different interior, which gives it a much more adventurous look to it. So you've got a very upscale look on the L, and then more adventurous look here. Same sheet metal, different customers. We think it'll really help expand the brand.
Pricing? Can you tell us anything yet?
We haven't announced it yet, but it's going to be very, very competitive. Trust me, very competitive.
And when will these go on sale?
These will be Q2 of next year. So again, a couple more months. The other big news that we have at the show here today is we're launching 2 full electric vehicles. The 500e that you see here, the orange car, and then we're going to launch a 500e Sport Edition as well, which again has a different character, different look, different feel to the car. But this car, we think, is really going to be a little bit different for the electric car segment because everybody knows what's happening in the electric car segment. It's a very, very small number of customers that are looking for an electric car. We're not going to sell this as an electric car. We're going to sell this as a Fiat 500 that also, by the way, happens to have a revolutionary powertrain, which I think is the right way to sell an electric car, and it's the reason that we did the Fiat 500 first. Because by definition, if you're buying an A-segment car in the U.S., you want to be different. You want to stand out. You want to be different from the rest of the people in the market, and we're seeing that with our current 500 customers, so they will be the most likely to adapt to a new technology.
Now, it's interesting that this is a bright burnt orange. You know, most people introduce an electric car painted green or blue, or why this?
Well, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be totally different about how we go after the electric car market. This is a Fiat 500 first. It's an electric car second, and that's why we're saying anybody can be eco-friendly. We're going to be eco-sexy. We're going to give you a great-looking Fiat 500 that also happens to be electric and gives you the perfect combination of real-world performance. You're going to get great acceleration, 9 seconds 0 to 60, in pure silence. You're going to get great range, and you're also going to get repeatable performance because we have a liquid-cooled battery pack. So you get all three with this car and a great-looking car.
And then you said there's more of a performance version of this coming?
Well, it's a performance look. Not everybody is going to want the burnt orange with the white interior. Great halo car. But some people want something that, you know, everyday use. They maybe not want a white seat. So we have a sportier version, black headlights, black interior, sport wheels. We have it over on the floor next door. Please get a picture of it because it's amazing looking.
Well, I'm really impressed by what you're doing at Fiat right now because I had no idea you would achieve the sales level that you're getting right now. It's been transformative. Like you said, the sales are up so much.
So thank you. I haven't sold a single one. Our dealers have been doing an unbelievable job, though.
Okay.
And what's really exciting for us, though, is 25% of our business is coming right here out of the state of California, which things that work in California eventually spread to the rest of the country, and we're seeing that catch on in other markets as well, which is exciting.
Cool to hear. Tim Kuniskis, thanks so much for your time, man.
Thank you.
This is very interesting to learn about it all.
Thanks.
Take care. Okay, folks, we've got a few more questions that we're going to get to, but first let's go to one of our other sponsored messages.
Come in.
Got the coffee?
That was fast.
We're out of here.
I'm talking right now with Rick Hanna, the global automotive leader for PwC. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with me, Rick.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I understand that PwC has some sort of clean tech conference going on with the LA show. What's that about?
Yeah, it's a clean tech revolution. It's all about the future, clean tech, ways for companies to move ahead in clean tech, meeting the new fuel economy and CAFE standards. Actually, the internal combustion engine still has a lot of room to improve and help meet those standards. So there's a lot of discussion about electric vehicles, but I think the take rate's going to be pretty slow for the immediate future.
I would agree. In fact, that's exactly what's happening right now. Does that make it harder for automakers if they can't bring in this new technology, or as you suggest, the internal combustion engine?
Yeah, I don't think the technology's there to bring in yet. It's still, batteries are very expensive. They're very heavy. It'll take a while for the battery to get to where it can compete with the internal combustion engine.
And there's more than just trying to make the vehicles themselves cleaner, right? I mean, isn't there more that we can do from an infrastructure just for how we operate these things in cities?
Absolutely, and there are things that are happening with some of these car-to-go concepts and rental car concepts that, immediate technology right there. The consumer can go out and jump in a car and go across the city and leave the car, and, they can be charging. But you know, the whole smart city concept, there's a lot of thinking going around that concept, what has to happen to make that a reality.
Seems to be happening anyway. People can get apps on their phones, and other individuals are just jumping in to provide these kinds of services.
Absolutely. Technology is moving very, very fast, and every day there's a new app or a new initiative going on.
I understand, too, that PwC is really looking at Chinese automakers coming to invest in the U.S. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's interesting, the way China's developed. It used to be a market where everybody wanted to go, everybody needed to be there to capture some of the share that's happening there. And they really viewed it as a low-cost market. You know, you could labor arbitrage, you could use it to export cars. It's quickly moving into where you're going to have new competitors emerging out of China. We're seeing Chinese companies moving to the U.S. They're really focusing on Detroit, Chicago, and L.A. as centers of excellence. Small investments right now, but it's coming.
That's very interesting. You know, Chicago, L.A., I can understand where Chinese companies would be looking at. Why Detroit?
Well, Detroit, this is the center of the automotive industry, you know, on a global basis. There's more engineers in Detroit and Southeast Michigan than anywhere else in the world. Great schools here, great labor pools here. If you want to establish a car company, you could do worse than looking at Detroit.
So do you think the Chinese are here looking for technology, maybe new suppliers, or is it with an eye to getting into the American market?
I think, first of all, it's to get technology. We're seeing them make acquisitions, take that intellectual property back to China to improve their operations in China. But don't kid yourself that they're just looking to be Chinese players. They want to be global players, and they're thinking, you know, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and they need that technology to compete.
We're seeing Chinese car companies export cars already all over the world, but mainly in developing markets, Latin America, maybe the Middle East to a degree, Africa and things like that, places like that.
Into the east of Russia as well, where they're really competing on a low-cost basis. But in the future, they're going to develop global companies and global cars. It's really interesting. You looked at the Japanese. It took them about 40, 45 years to be world-class. The Koreans probably did it in 20, 25 years. Chinese are going to have a quicker learning curve than that.
They are, but when do you think they'll actually start showing up selling cars in the U.S. market?
Well, it depends on what scale you're talking about. You'll see some small volumes within the next 3 or 4 years. And to really compete, though, it'll be a longer time frame than that.
And which car companies do you think it'll be? From this sense, I'm not going to ask you specific car companies, but as you know, there's independent, privately held car companies in China, which seem to be very aggressive, and then there's the government-owned ones, not owned by the central government, but maybe by cities or regions.
Well, I think everybody has some influence by the state in that country. Even privately owned companies are getting lots of incentives in their state regions, so it's really hard to differentiate who's state-owned and who's private in that country. You know, there's over 100 OEs in China today. The government's gone through and in their 12th five-year plan, they've tried to identify some of the winners and losers. But it's really hard to say which one of those companies is going to emerge as the first global player.
We'll just have to keep an eye on that.
We will.
Okay. Rick Hanna, thanks so much for stopping by today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. I've got a whole bunch of questions that have been pouring in since the last break there that we can get to right now. So HTG from New York says, does Mazda have anything to announce about the next MX-5? The Mazda press conference has not taken place yet, so we're going to have to wait and see until we get a chance to ask them that. He also wants to know, is the capacitor energy storage system for Mazda cars available? Great question. We're going to have to wait for the Mazda press conference to learn more about that. Carl W. from Tallinn, Estonia. I don't know if I say Tallinn or Tallinn, but he sent back an addition to his question because he was asking me about the 1.6-liter non-turbo against Ford's 1-liter EcoBoost. And the 1.6 non-turbo has 120 horsepower. The EcoBoost has 123. I don't know the torque differences yet. I can't wait to get a chance to drive those different engines back to back. And Carl W. also wants to know, will the EcoBoost 1-liter also be offered in the Focus in North America, not just the Fiesta? I kind of doubt that. You know, in the U.S., small displacement engines like the 1-liter is only just getting going. who knows if American consumers would accept that in a car, a bigger car like the Focus. Let's see, Admiral Akbar says, is the LA Auto Show taking over Detroit? Is it getting to be a bigger show? Well, I've got to tell you, there's a lot of good buzz here in LA at this show, more than there was last year. Is it taking over Detroit? Not really. LA is still pretty much a U.S.-centric show. The Detroit show, even though it is U.S.-centric, has got a lot more of an international flavor to it. But I got to tell you, this is a pretty good show that's going on in L.A. Bradley G. from Couts, Indiana says, are you visiting the Dodge display and checking out the new Charger Daytona? We will do that. We haven't done that yet. Would really like to see it. He says, I'm enjoying the live coverage. That's cool. Scotty in Cleveland says, what about a microbus-styled minivan? Excellent question for Volkswagen. You know, they had showed one, about a decade ago. Didn't go anywhere. You know, you got to be real careful doing retro design. It can work for a while, but it doesn't seem to have legs. Nonetheless, I do like that idea because I think the minivan segment really could use some more special styling than what we're seeing right now. Let's see. Ron Paris says, well, he's got more questions about the CX-5. He says we should be seeing powertrain and other kinds of upgrades. He says, please get the lowdown on this. We will when we finish up here, not for the show, but we'll be running over to the Mazda press conference. Admiral Akbar, another question. He says, does Audi offer cylinder deactivation on diesels? I don't think anybody offers cylinder deactivation on diesels. I'm not an engineer. I shouldn't venture into this. I think there's some emissions issues once you start turning diesels on and off, but somebody else should really weigh in on that who really knows for sure. But to my knowledge, there are no cylinder deactivation with diesels. A.M. Guerrero, all right, from Manila in the Philippines says, will Toyota USA's styling influence make its way to upcoming global models? You bet, Roberto. It absolutely is going to happen. It started with Toyota's Design Center in Kelty, California, with the new Avalon, with the LFLC Lexus concept car, sports car. It is absolutely going to spread across the board. Toyota's gotten religion about styling, and you're definitely going to see the influence that started here in the U.S. spread to the rest of the Toyota line. Joseph says, John, compare the size of the LA show, which I've attended many times, with other world-class auto shows like Paris and Detroit. It's a good-sized show. It's nothing like Paris or Frankfurt or any of the other really big shows outside of the United States. The Detroit show, I think, from an important standpoint, a media standpoint, is still #1 in the U.S. But Detroit pales in size to shows like Frankfurt, Paris, Shanghai, and the like. Detroit is housed in one building. I want to say they have something like 9 buildings in Frankfurt that are almost the same size as the one in Detroit. So it's much more spread out, and they bring in a whole lot more. Motorcycles, fire engines, all kinds of aftermarket parts. Suppliers are involved with that too. So it's not quite an apples-to-apples comparison. My measure is, where does the international media show up, and how many stories around the world emanate from any one auto show? And from that standpoint, I would probably say the top 3 in the world right now are Frankfurt, Detroit, and Shanghai and/or Beijing, because they switch back and forth. Paris is up there a lot too. Live guest 508 wants to know, why does it cost more to maintain diesels? I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to look into. It should be less. I mean, come on, you don't have spark plugs or some of the other things that are in a gasoline engine. And live guest 329 wants to know, what does John think of Tesla? Smoke and mirrors, or will they survive? Look, I'm very impressed by Tesla. For them to win Motor Trend Car of the Year is jaw-dropping. I mean, here's a car company that came out of nowhere. First car that they've developed completely on their own. First one, and it wins Motor Trend's Car of the Year. That, people, is super impressive. Now, as anybody who's been following me knows, I'm very skeptical about the EV market. This is really being driven by government mandate, not by consumer demand. So I'm still skeptical about how this is going to play out in the long run. But I got to tell you, I'm super impressed by Tesla. They've brought something new to the party. You know, they're using these so-called laptop batteries, which they really aren't, but that's what everybody refers to them as. And they've got software of monitoring all these things. Nobody else is taking that approach. So Tesla is bringing something new to the automotive industry, unlike some of the other startup electric car companies that really are just bringing beautifully styled cars, but not necessarily new technology. So I don't think Tesla is smoke and mirrors. I'm still not convinced this EV industry has got the long-term legs that maybe some of the others do. But I got to say, I'm super impressed by Tesla. Anyway, that wraps up the Q&A session. Thanks so much for having tuned in. I know we didn't get to everything because some of the stuff simply has not been unveiled yet. Stay tuned to Autoline Daily. We'll be getting to covering those other not yet unveiled cars in upcoming editions of Autoline Daily. Also, tune in tomorrow night for Autoline After Hours here in Los Angeles. We'll be doing it out of Santa Monica. Should be a whole lot of fun. But for now, John McElroy signing off to all of you out there from the 2012 Los Angeles Auto Show.
Autoline Live from the LA Auto Show is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering; BorgWarner, feel good about driving; Bridgestone, your journey, our passion; and by PwC, prepare for the road ahead. Sign up for PwC's AutoFacts Analyst Notes to get the latest automotive analysis, trends, and industry insight.